an aide to and a special advisor to Alan Chiramantin of the NPP. But we have to move on to a subject of the NPP. And I think 2 days ago, there was a fracas at the party headquarters. And following that, we've had a number of personalities come to raise issues with what happened. And we're told that the former president, John Ejiofor Kufuor, has also weighed into the subject and called for calm heads. What do you make of the incident that happened, and do you think that such interventions are key?
Well, yes, some interventions are key. Let me first add my own voice to the voice of all our leaders who have condemned it. I also want to condemn that action that took place. There were some who were bent on disrupting this press conference that the chairman and general secretary were going to hold. And their efforts started the day before. It failed, and the impression was that all efforts they were making had been prevented. But lo and behold, towards the end of the press conference, these people came in there, just a handful of them, about a dozen or so, and came and caused some confusion at the party headquarters. The sad thing, however, is that the important issues that were raised by the General Secretary, which have been of concern to the mass of the party, have actually been put aside, and now is this unfortunate development. I believe sincerely that those who sent those thugs to do that, that was their aim, to take attention away from the real issues that are confronting the current executive, and then, you know, as a diversionary tactic, yes. But I condemn it.
Well, for many of your leaders also, and for some political scientists, it is assumed this is just a blip. True?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. That's how I see it. We shouldn't let it go too far. I mean, as I'm saying, it's just a handful of people who came from one source. You see, it's not like a spontaneous reaction of the membership of the party who came from all over. You know, this is just one group of people who just went there to cause it. We shouldn't give them that. You know, they've dented, whether we like it or not, they have dented the image of the party. I believe strongly that the party will recover from it and repair the image.
And Mr. Murtala Mohammed, apparently some leaders of your party also have been, well, I don't know whether it's just some statements of sarcasm, saying that, well, the NPP need to come to your leadership for some advice on how to cool matters or calm heads in such situations.
Well, I wouldn't go that way, and I'm not too sure which of our leaders indeed, you know, has made such a statement. And like you said, maybe possibly on the lighter side. As a matter of fact, it is not in the interest of democracy or aspirants of democratic governance to be pleased with what is happening in the NPP. We would love to see a viable opposition, we would love to see a united opposition. But you see, there's a proverb that when you build a house with saliva, it will be destroyed by heat. And that's precisely what our brothers and sisters in the NDC are doing. You know, I think that they should allow democracy to prevail. They have touted repeatedly themselves as the pacesetters and, if you like, the guardians of democracy in Ghana, the guardians of free speech, the guardians of transparency and accountability. Sadly, this thing has virtually escaped everybody within the party. People have the right to support whoever they want. People have the right to express their convictions on issues that border on the progress of their party. Now, if you have a party where you have a regional chairman, and this is another regional chairman of the NPP, accused the leadership of being thieves. Thieves. He used those strong words. Nothing happens to him. In this same party, you have seen that the form, who indeed some time past accused the entire national leadership. Nothing happened to him. You know, and I think that it's important. When Kofi Adams indeed reportedly made a statement about the NDC and the national executive, he was sanctioned. And in fact, investigation went into it, and reports were submitted, and appropriate actions were taken. In NPP, there are certain people who are above even the constitution of their party. There are certain people who can make any statement and do something. So when such things happen, what do you expect? But you see, there's a problem in the money that if the chief comes home with a weird haircut, what does he expect the subject to do? The subject will come in with a PIU. And I think that is a reflection of a case of chickens that are coming on the roost. And that's precisely what is happening. But like I said, it is not in our interest to relish what is happening in the NPP. I don't think that it's in the interest of any party or any democratic, adherents of any democratic governance to be happy. We would want them to remain united. We want them to remain peaceful, so that we'll beat them once again in 2016. Because clearly, in as much as we have this, President Mahama is focused on deliverance, and that is what we will do.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll have to let go of you because we know you're catching a flight out of town. And that's Murtala Mohammed, a Deputy Trade Minister, but also a Member of Parliament as well. And your responses to all that he was saying?
Oh, well, it was... I have to admit that some of the things he was saying was true. I mean, hey, NPP, we have always boasted that we are guardians of democracy. Indeed, many of the provisions of our constitution, which are now being upheld, which were previously not being upheld, it was the NPP and some members of the NPP who had to actually go to court to fight to have those provided. These are some of our sources of pride as a party. So it is rather shameful when we see these things happening. Some people, it's unfortunately true what he's saying, that some people have begun to feel that the party belongs to them and they are above the law. They want to give interpretations to our regulations to suit them. And it's unfortunate. I'm not too happy talking about some of these sad things that are going on in my party. But I think many of these things are things that we have to admit, because the electorate whose mandate we seek can see these things. So to be a little pretentious on our part not to admit them. So it is sad, but I know that with the way things are emerging in the party, we will change it all.
How do you make sure that the top leadership of the party, especially the advisors and the statesmen and the leaders, the foremost leaders, will put things right?
Well, I think first and foremost, you see, we've all condemned it, but some are behind what is going on. So there's some dishonesty there. I won't point fingers. I think we should all begin to be honest and appreciate what has to be done and what is good. We have always been democratic. Suddenly, some people don't want democracy. Some people don't want elections. Some people don't want certain regulations to be enforced. Some people said, all of a sudden. I mean, it is, for me, I can't get around it, but I will just leave it there.
There's always a talk about factions, Alan faction, Akufo-Addo faction. Yeah. These are expected in a democratic institution. Do you think that sometimes, perhaps, the grassroots supporters or enthusiasts of these personalities take their own concerns too far?
That is on a personal basis. Somebody's personal indiscipline is such that he cannot tolerate an opposing view, cannot tolerate somebody appearing to do well. So by virtue of their indiscipline, they take illegal action, mob action, they take cudgels, they go into fisticuffs, etc. Indiscipline. So that is an individual basis. On the issue of factions, when there's an election, people would want to choose sides.
Associate themselves.
It is natural in life. Now, if somebody has chosen to support one person for whatever position, it does not necessarily mean that they are against that person. We are all brothers and friends. Some of my very close friends are working for other candidates, and we are friends. We meet. It doesn't change anything. We are in the same party. So that is the basis of democracy. And as leaders, we must demonstrate that. So if as a leader you cannot accommodate or tolerate somebody supporting your quote-unquote opponent or your contestant or your challenger, then it means that you yourself are not a Democrat. You are only pretending to be a Democrat. And that action, I condemn it. I condemn it, because if you're a Democrat, you must be a Democrat at heart. You must respect the opposing view, no matter how difficult that view is, how painful the truth of that view is. But to just refuse to want to accept it and want to go into violence. I mean, I was a bitter opponent of President Rawlings because of some of his undemocratic methods. It was not against him as a person, but against one of his methods. You know what I'm saying? And I have been against that all through. So if anybody is trying to do that in my party, I will not support it. So if, let's say, I'm working hard for Alan to be our flag bearer, and if a colleague of mine also working hard wants to do something like this, I will not accept it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that if I don't accept it, it means I'm referring particularly to somebody else. So I just want to make that point.
Were you surprised and shocked at videos that were shown on air live of members of your party, young people wielding machetes, cudgels, and the cutlasses they call them?
It was unfortunate. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed, honestly. And I think the police should go in and arrest them, because some of those people are identifiable. We know who they are. They should be arrested, and dealt with. It gives a bad name, not just for our party. It's a bad name for the person who they are supporting. It's already a bad reflection on that person. It's a bad reflection on our party, and it's a bad reflection on our country. Most unfortunate. Okay.
And yesterday, there was a gas explosion somewhere in Tema Community 12, and we're told that the Achim Techima in Hene and 3 others also were killed. As a result of that, some bodies also got mutilated in the process. Of course, NADMO and other security forces were there, but it also shows how perhaps volatile and careful we are in dealing with some of these exigencies, even though we're told all the time by the security forces to be very much careful.
Yeah, I think that we should, on a constant basis, remind people about the security of gas.
Another inflammable material.
Yes. I think it's important for us to do that. Many of these things leak sometimes. They are kept in enclosed areas. The gas builds up, and sometimes people think that it is the absence of a flame that keeps it safe, forgetting that there are other things that could ignite the gas. Certain actions can ignite the gas. So there's this education that we need to do all the time. And I wish to suggest that in areas where there's gas retail, we have posters. Just
that give clear indication.
Just as a reminder to people, because you go there every day to fill your gas cylinders. Places like that. You have a billboard just there, not too big, maybe 5
Some
feet.
signages.
Yeah, some signage that would just visually remind people to check leakage, and if the attendants are also reminded that as they fill the cylinder, ask the person, hey, check for leakage. When you go, check for leakage, make sure that the windows are open. Just that small reminder on a constant basis, I think, can help to make a difference.
And on that, our reporter, Justice Beidu, had been looking around town, investigating the safety of gas usage, and more importantly, the subject of the trading or retailing of second-hand gas cylinders, and even how they are kept by not only consumers but also industrial users. And we'll bring you that very roving report, but of course we have to let you go. And we say thanks very much for passing through our studio this morning. And Philip London is a member of the NPP, but also a special advisor to Alan Tremantin, who is contesting for the flag bearership race of the NPP. But again, I have to inform you, they would have to go through a special delegates congress, they call it, where 7 of them who have decided to go for that very position of flag bearer will have to be pruned down as stipulated in the constitution of the NPP to 5, and then we'll have a national flag bearership race on, I believe, October 26, 2014. 18, okay, October 18, 2014.